You can pick up where you left off.
Are you sure?
Or
You got
back-
it?
you
You
can back
got
up
it? You want
maybe
to
a
back
slide
up
or
a
two.
couple slides?
I think there's one or two that we kind of got lost on.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for the heads up. I wasn't watching what was going on.
And if you could speak up a little bit, that would be great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, so I guess, can you, now I need to hit this. Maybe I was the problem before.
You want to use the projector?
There you go. Can you
It's
see
not-
the,
it's- We have it overhead, but not on our monitors.
okay. Is that,
Yeah, you
that's
go ahead.
okay though?
We can see enough
Okay.
up there, yeah.
All right, so then the, here's the shift, here's the lot. Ron showed you some context pictures. And this is the structure, the top right showing where the fencing, existing wood fence is.
Do you have it on your monitors?
No. I mean, we have it, I can see it on Ron's monitor and then
I think we have enough information
Okay.
to continue.
So no existing parking offset or on the property for the current duplex, but as part of the larger project, we are bringing in 2 spaces, 1 per unit. This is, we went through and had a feasibility study done of the relocation. In summary, the structure can be successfully moved. There are going to be some, onto a new foundation. There will be some support piers and some structural repairs even in the walls themselves too. So we will do that at the time, and we'd like to give it a very superficial facelift also, maybe new windows at that time, just because we are moving it. We are trying to make a better street, and so we'll be doing some very minor updates with this relocation. So for the, how this fits into the larger project, I'll get into more detail in a little bit, but just kind of large concept. The duplex in this is already shifted over. We have the new construction, which wraps the corner, 5 units, 5 townhouses, new construction, all parking off the alley, so on the north of the site, access from Angel Oliva. So that would be 7 spaces, all standard spaces, no waivers, just the code zoning backup distances and spaces, so no waivers there. And then something special for the site, we also wanted to bring in some green space. So we have an amenity courtyard in the middle of the site that would be used by the owners. That is the big picture, and if that is enough information for the relocation, or if you want more information on the following, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Ms. Cook, please go through your responses for chapter 2799, point F 1 through 3. There's criteria that must be met in the ordinance, and you provided that. They have it in their packet, but so it's in the record.
Okay. Just a few of those, or all of them?
All of them have to be addressed.
Okay. Burden of proof. The applicant shall prove substantial I'm sorry, I'm going to kind of read it as I go. Alternates to demolition, there's no, well, alternate to demolition or relocation, we're obviously not proposing to demolish. Relocation, we would not be relocating this without the larger project. An alternate is we just don't do the project, but we're obviously trying to fill in some of the neighborhood with good development. Whether the landmark or building structure can be retained on the site. It's suited to be relocated in its structure, so it won't fall down as we relocate. Will stay intact. Is it appropriate and feasible? Yes, I already mentioned the feasibility study from a structural engineer. Also from a historic perspective, it's in keeping with the historic integrity of the street. Do we have the ability to build the proposed new construction with a reasonable time period? It's not new construction, so we will be relocating, and it will be phased as part of the larger project to be relocated, obviously, before we start the remainder of the project. Is it justified as economic hardship? This is not economic hardship. It's more in a better development for the corner and really wrapping the corner to be able to have more run along Fourth Avenue to get a unit entrance off of that so that it doesn't just have a kind of side unit at the corner. So really turning the corner and having a leg on Fourth is important to us. The contribution to the present setting, I would say, is the same as when it's relocated, as the Sanborn presents. Can it be moved without significant damage? Yes, per the structural feasibility. And then if there are minor repairs, we will take care of that in the process. The compatibility of the structure to the proposed site, as we've already said, Sanborn, yes, it's compatible. And estimate of demolition, do you want to go through all the I'm not really as familiar with this.
Sure.
I'll have Diego come up and go through the remainder.
Guys, name is Diego,
You wanna use this?
and yes, please. So estimate of proposed demolition or relocation, and an estimate of any additional costs that would be incurred to comply with the recommendations. We are looking at, relocating as soon as possible to be able to start the corner project. Obviously, this is, critical because it would definitely face the way we do our construction. As far as cost of construction and or, not demoing, but relocating the project, the concern is not so much how much is it gonna cost, but the ability to move or relocate this project is what would allow us to build the larger corner piece, which, I think is what brings such richness to the fabric of the, historic Fourth. As far as the estimated cost relocation and those things, we are intending to work on, siding, make sure everything is matching the existing or better. Things like the windows, where we're using, like, best we can, wood-clad windows. It talks about the report from a licensed engineer with experience in rehabilitation. We have provided that report, and it's included on the attachments. We've done some soil borings as well, just to make sure that everything, will work, considering we're relocating the structure, and the, investment will be protected. So we will be redoing the foundation. Obviously, as it stands, it's very old. It's not very structurally safe, but this is one of the things we will be working on. We will provide a foundation that is structurally, meeting the code requirements, current code requirements, but we will make sure that aesthetically it looks exactly as, it currently looks. Essentially raised building. We're gonna keep the front apron, it does have, like, the existing property does include, that little fence, 3 foot or so each side of the entry. We will be maintaining those things. Estimated market value of the property, both in its current condition and after completion of the proposed relocation. Estimated market value is $141,000. We're only assuming that it's going to go up as the neighborhood continues to grow and, get improvements. The good thing about this is we're not trying to change it. We're trying to literally just relocate it and make it better, because it is showing some decay. An estimate from architect, developer, real estate consultant, appraisal, or other real estate professional experience in rehabilitation as to the economic feasibility or rehabilitation or reuse of the existing structure on the property to the value of comparable properties within the district or relocation to another property within the district. So aside from this, just the relocation cost of doing the new foundation, we're not intending to spend more than what we need to. Again, our main purpose is to make sure that it looks really good. So we will replace anything that is damaged, and improving the foundations is something that we want to do as an investment. The estimated relocation and construction of the new pier foundation is anywhere between $76,000 and $7,500. The structural engineering, new pier foundation, is about $3,500. So the total cost we're assuming is going to be a little bit under $100,000, which, again, considering the property location, the condition, and what we're doing to the property next door, it's really not too bad. Amount paid for the property to date of purchase, and the party from whom purchase, including a description of the relationship, if any, between the owner of record or applicant and the person from whom the property was purchased, and any terms of financing between seller and buyer. So the property was purchased in March of 2016 for $400,000, and the property was, well, that's the adjacent property, so I won't go into that one. There is no relationship between the buyer and the seller. The property is an income-producing property. Currently, it is an existing duplex and is being rented. And the annual gross income for the past 2 years has been $23,387 for Unit 1 and $30,600 for Unit 2, for a total of $53,987. There is no debt service. Point G is about the remaining balance of the mortgage, but there is no mortgage on the property. Currently, we did not obtain an appraisal, as we're not trying to sell the property. We're purely just relocating, and it will continue to be used as a rental property. Any listing of the property for sale or rent, price asked and offers received, if any, within the previous 2 years. The price asked and received are $1,200 per month, and that is the rent that currently those users are paying for Unit 1 and 2. Again, it says value, point J, of the two most recent assessments is $141,442. It is assumed that the assessed value will be the same after relocation. Then again, once we build our corner property project, I'm sure that will only increase. Form of ownership, it's currently owned as a for-profit LLC. And any other information that would assist, this relocation would be by relocating the existing structure. The owner can maintain and contribute to the historic significance of Ybor City, specifically the 1700 block of East 4th Avenue. For the relocation, identical setbacks for the existing house will be used. So again, in summary, and that was the last point, but in summary, we're literally just relocating, we're keeping the setbacks, making it better so that we have the property for our corner project. I think that's all we got.
Do we have any more?
Nope, that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you. So Ron Vila, staff with Historic Preservation. Staff's finding that this application is consistent and complete with the Ybor City Design Guidelines and the Code Section 27.99F 1 through 3. The Ybor City Design Guidelines state that if you're going to relocate a building, that the height and the width of the moved building must be consistent with the height and the width of buildings that surround it. So it blends in with the setbacks, elevation from grade, and the other vernaculars within the district. So this is just moving one parcel over. There is one condition attached to this, that once the building is relocated, it loses its contributing status. Even though it's going one parcel over, as soon as that building is lifted up, it loses that status. So we request that a condition be placed on this, if it is to be approved, that the applicant come forward to the HPC, that's the Historic Preservation Commission, and reestablish the contributing status of that structure. Any rehabilitation to the structure will be handled at staff. That's a component that we could do administratively. If it goes beyond what staff could do, then the board will see it again.
Understood.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Vila. Anyone here from the public wishing to comment on this case? Let's see.
Can everybody hear me over here? My name is Rick Forey.
Have you been sworn?
No.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you'll be giving today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. My name is Rick Forey. I own the property at 1708 East 4th Avenue. This is obviously going to be my neighbors. I just wanted to come in and express, well, thank you for maintaining this structure, and I just wanted to express my support for this project to move forward. And I'm just happy that Ybor City is going to grow more. So I just wanted to express my support.
Thank you. Okay, we'll begin with some questions of the applicant, starting with Ms. Welch on the left.
Don't think I have any, I don't think I have any right now. They indicated they were gonna move it as it is.
Just a quick question, because I guess the lot that it's being moved off of is the same width, but when you move it, you're gonna center it on the property, and you meet all the zoning setbacks and everything, because you're not asking for anything. Is that
Well,
correct?
technically, it's closer, as you can see up here, it's closer to the western lot
Right.
line, but we're gonna maintain a 5-foot approximate
So
off of the west.
Which is why you
property
don't
line.
need any additional variances,
Correct,
or, okay,
right.
that was just clarifying that. No other questions?
Question for legal. With moving the property from one to the other, are we able to condition that on the approval and successful completion of the project that it is being moved out of the way for?
I'm sorry, what was the last that you said?
Well, I mean, they want to move this building to make a bigger, better project.
Correct.
They've hinted at what that bigger, better project is in the presentation. With this case, and when we make a motion, and if it moves forward, we're gonna see the next case in the next minute.
Correct.
Right? Is it, if we approved the moving right now, and the power went out, and we had to get together next year, and they had approval to move it without the approval for the project, what I'd like to do, what I'm asking is, can we condition the approval of the move to the successful certificate of appropriateness for the next project and the completion of that project? Because we're all being asked to consider this move as a component of a larger project.
And there's also a condition that they have to recertify it
Right.
to make it historic, so.
Reestablish the
Right.
contributors.
Dennis Fernandez, Architecture Review and Historic Preservation Manager. In the past, there's been concern about structures being relocated and then what the project that generated the relocation not necessarily being constructed. It's, something that we've learned over time can happen. One approach that the board, both the ARC and the Barrio Latino Commission has incorporated is that the relocation sign-off from our department is withheld until a set of plans for the new construction are submitted for permitting. That, I believe, gives you some level of assurance that they've done the construction level drawings to construct the new project. I don't believe we can kind of go beyond that to mandate that they construct, but that certainly is an investment from the owner, from the developer, that the project that they're going to be presenting to you after this is going to move forward. And while I'm up here just on the condition of redesignating, I prefer that the commission consider condition that relocation application be submitted prior to the certificate of occupancy being granted for the relocated structure. So we have a specific expectation as to when that needs to be completed by.
CO on the relocated structure?
On the relocated structure.
On the what?
On the relocated structure.
How long, does that process take as long as it would take to move the building? How long does it take to get it recertified or reestablished as a historic structure?
Usually about 60 days to 90 days. It's not going to delay the project.
Okay.
Just a question. Dennis?
Yes.
Would requiring permit drawings being issued prevent them from moving the house? Because, I mean, there could be different timelines, obviously, for the, you know, for each component of the overall project.
The code says that you can apply reasonable conditions to certificates of appropriateness, so I think you can discuss that with the applicant, but I'm just giving you an example of one approach that's been utilized in the past. You know, unfortunately, when you're getting into relocations, you can see, you know, that the ordinance is a little awkward too between demolition and relocation. It's not a one-size-fits-all sort of approach, so you have to tailor each approval to the specific situation.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, so the existing structure, contributing structure, has a knee wall in front. Are you relocating that knee wall?
Yes, and actually you'll see in the next part, we're hoping to put, I mean, we have like a entry at that unit that's right next to there at the same height too, so it
So
will
you'll have
also
a-
actually
You have a
contribute.
knee wall over
to
to those two structures?
Well, it won't be a knee wall, it'll actually be a 3 steps up as like a little walkway, but it'll be at the same height as that, so it kind of will broach across both projects
Do
at
you
that.
have that going up Fourth all the way to the corner, then up?
No, but you'll see why.
Okay, okay, yeah, because yeah, okay. Okay, so the quick answer is yes, there will be a knee wall back there in the contributing structure. So the relocated houses, could you go through the setbacks on all sides? I know you said on the west side it's 5 feet, which is the minimum, right? And I'd also like you to discuss where you're gonna locate the building, setback from the front, if it matches that, if you know what that distance is, and also address finished floor height. I'd just like you to confirm all those things that we know that's exact, that will match.
So then can we pull up the drawings for the duplex that I gave him, the PDF?
That's an AV thing, like
Yes.
the PDF drawings that we're seeing the site plan right now, is it in there?
Well, this was just like the presentation, but we have the submitted hardline drawings
Okay.
that include a site plan.
The AV office, I don't know
I
if you
don't
can
think
pull up
it's in
the PDF
Is it
on
different?
the
than site
presentation,
plan?
or PowerPoint.
Okay, actually, we can show you here.
Yeah.
I have it here.
Oh, yeah, see.
All right, so the existing is at 4'5", the face of the front porch.
Okay, and that's
And-
what it currently is.
And then we're putting
Okay.
it back here, and then, we're putting it back at 4'5" off the west property line, and what it is now is smaller than that, but I'm not sure exactly what that
Okay.
is.
Well, it's still appropriate, yeah. And rear setback is 36 feet?
So the rear setback is 36,
Mhm.
which allows for enough depth for new parking,
Sure.
backup distance, and walkway.
Okay, and finished floor height?
The
that.
finished floor, do you remember what the existing is? We're not I don't remember, or I don't know that I have it right here, but we're not proposing to shift it one way or another. We'll keep the same number of risers on the front of the house, and
Okay.
there's no
So-
intent to adjust that.
We'll say it's the same,
Yes.
okay. And you're gonna use like CMU or brick piers at the corners to resemble the same configuration that it is right now? All these items I'm bringing up because you're gonna recertify this as a contributing structure, so all these items like the piers.
I understand.
We don't want
Yes, the intent is to put piers back in. We may, because of the soils, have to make that a little bit more substantial, but
Okay.
we would design it so that it still feels in keeping and appropriate for the matching the
Can you
existing.
see those? I mean, you can kind of see a skirt, but
What was the question, I'm sorry?
you're showing it, he's looking at a picture right now.
Yeah, so the existing elevation's about 18 inches from grade,
Mhm.
and we
Okay.
will be maintaining, so essentially, I mean, that's what it looks like.
Okay.
So we will maintain that accordingly.
So the porch up front is solid, it's gonna be poured concrete, and so on the sides, are there exposed piers and you're gonna do skirting, or is it, you know, my concern is if if the piers in the existing house are brick, if you're gonna go back with brick, and then not just CMU, but, you know, you can certainly do CMU with stucco.
Right.
But, you know, we're prepping you to recertify this as a historic structure, so I
Sure.
think all those details need to be
Sure.
to the same level.
Right, absolutely, yeah.
And the elevation that you're showing here shows improvements and changes from the existing structure. I mean, there's no guardrails, and the columns have been changed out. Are you, in the next presentation, are you gonna show us an aesthetic redo of the house to match the other stuff? No?
Well,
No,
she had
it should
mentioned
be,
that
the
there's-
intent is that it matches the existing.
Right, it will match the existing, so
No guardrail.
do disregard the handrails on this one. It essentially would look like that, and you see on that one, they do have some type of skirt around the sides of it. You can see like the pier foundation, which some of it is like broken pieces of CMU.
Sure.
And, you know, obviously we will make sure that structurally it is accurate, and we will match the existing, you know, screening around the sides, the skirt around the sides of the
And
house.
I think staff is hearing us on what our concerns are for making sure that that gets relocated and do it in the same manner. The applicant has mentioned that they might replace windows, again, that's a staff, if they do that and they replace them like kind, that could be signed off by staff, but I just wanna make sure that we can't jeopardize losing a contributing structure that you're asking to relocate so you can do another project.
Right.
So, and I think you're doing the right things, I just,
Right,
for everyone's sake,
right.
wanna make sure.
No,
that
we
we're-
understand your perspective too. So the intent is to replace as is and not change. You won't see it differently later.
And I think that's something that staff is well aware of the issues and will help them, but.
Would the original porch have been wood on piers? Because I didn't realize that it was concrete, and I assumed that if we're gonna be relocating the structure, this would be an opportunity to restore the porch to a more historic condition, especially if you're gonna, you know, recertify it.
I think we're open to that for the porch.
I mean, doesn't that make sense? At least the porch itself, I mean, if you have to go to a
Sure.
different kind of
Right.
foundation for the back, but the porch is what's crucial.
Sure, and I mean, perhaps you could do a little bit more research and see if you can find some historic photographs of this structure. And if we could bring that back to what it was originally designed to, I think that would be beneficial.
Okay,
Yeah. I just wanna make sure that we don't get a bait and switch.
Right.
Not that that would
I
happen. but,
understand.
Yeah.
And I think that's all I have for questions. I think that's probably enough. Okay, so you've heard a lot of our, questions here. You have a few moments if you'd like to summarize, what we discussed on your end, or if you wanna tell us some things that you're gonna do based on this, and then we'll go ahead and close the public hearing.
Sure. I mean, we understand the pending the next approval, we know you don't want to just approve something kind of blindly. So we're open to a conditional approval of this based on the next part. We will work with Ron if we do any window replacements or any minor adjustments. We're going to look into the porch and see if, kind of look, I mean, yes, historic casitas typically did have a wood porch. So we're open to making that happen when we relocate and going back and reestablishing its contributing structure status to help protect it for the future also, as well as addressing the foundation, the new foundation when we relocate, and working with Ron to get that approved with the relocation.
Okay. Thank you, appreciate that. We're gonna go ahead and close the public hearing and have discussion amongst the commissioners. Mr. Thompson,
I'm ready to make a motion, but
any other discussion? We're good for a motion?
Yeah, good.
okay. Make a motion for final approval of conditions, move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in BLC 22-205 for the property located at 1716 East 4th Avenue with the following conditions. The applicant will move to redesignate the property as a contributing structure. And this designation, or this redesignation shall be complete prior to a CO being given for the moved house. Relocation of this property is contingent upon sign-off of plans for the subsequent development that's going to happen on the property. The existing knee wall location that is also part of the property shall be reconstructed and recreated on the new property where it's been moved to. The finished floor elevation for the existing house shall essentially remain the same at the new location. Applicant will work with staff for the appropriate foundation detailing to ensure the contributing structure is redesignated, and the applicant shall have the opportunity to work with staff to do additional research for the historic character of the original porch, should that go back to wood from the existing concrete, and you can work with staff on that component as well. Because based upon the finding of fact, the proposed project is consistent with the Ybor City Design Guidelines of the City of Tampa based upon the following reasons: the design guideline references and the Secretary of State, Secretary of Interior's standards.
I'll second and add a condition for your consideration that we also specify that the applicant will provide the required parking for the house once it's moved on site.
As
Which I
part
know
of the
is your
larger
intention.
development.
It's your intention, but just in
Right.
case it gets separated, I think it's important that it's part of this motion.
Right. So we'll add that the appropriate parking as for the individual house is also carried forward onto the new parcel.
It may just be that that parking isn't necessarily available at the time of relocation, but at the time of project completion.
There's no parking right now with that house.
Yeah.
And I'd like to add one condition that the applicant has shown that they have met section 27.99F 1 through 3, which is the burden of proof, additional criteria on applications for certificates of appropriateness to relocate, and economic hardship, that those criteria have been met
Agreed.
for relocation.
And amended.
Yes.
Okay, so we, that's
So,
Sorry.
Did we second the motion? Are you guys done with the motion over there?
you can add on to it. It's,
No, I'm
Well,
just
he's-
checking.
he started a second, he added a condition, and I added one more thing, so are you okay with the friendly amendment?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have a second. There's been a number of, I'm talking to Ms. Cook, right, the applicant. A number of conditions have been placed on this CA, the certificate of appropriateness for this relocation. Is the applicant okay with these conditions as stated?
Yes.
Okay, the applicant has it confirmed, so we are ready for a motion. All in favor of said motion, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay,
So,
we can go ahead and
Ron-
move right into, I think Ron's gonna start off with a staff report here. For the next case, 22-207.
Rich, they need to do the presentation first.
You want me to do it first?
The presentation for the new
Okay.
construction, yes.
Okay, so you're familiar with where we are. Go ahead. To back up to the Sanborns and looking at it for the overall site too, so the east side of the parcel has historic structures that were facing east. So looking at that development pattern of structures facing east, as well as then the two, as we've talked about, where the historic structure is facing south, we're taking that into mind as we wrap the corner with the new building. So this is what you've already seen. Obviously, wrapping the corner, duplex, they all will have entrances from the street, which I will get into. Facing east faces the dog park, which is, as I mentioned, one of my projects that's opening next month. And so 3 of the units will have front doors that face this park directly, basically like the image on the left. And then the corner will also be able to view this park, and then the other 5th unit wraps 4th Avenue and faces south. So it's also nice to kind of be able to keep building down the street so you can make those relationships through the architecture. So this is the overall site plan. If we can zoom out a little bit. Okay. So I'll just go through how the site plan functions. So from a vehicular standpoint, cars will enter for parking off Angela Oliva and then come into 7 dedicated parking spaces, 1 per unit. And then from a pedestrian standpoint, we have the existing entrance. This has a roof over it, over this, well, the kind of shed roof, as you saw, not changing it, over this part of the porch. But the idea is that you can enter here. There's a pedestrian entrance with a fence here to keep just stragglers not from coming off the street. And then that gets you into a kind of system of walks and landscape back there, which I'll get into. Unit 5's entrance is here on the south. Unit 4 entrance is here also on the south and on the corner. Unit 3, 2, and 1 all have entrances off the street. Because of parking off the alley, they each have a back door also, so they can access from the street and from the parking. They each have a dedicated rear yard. And then here's the kind of shared amenity space, which is landscape. We're looking at maybe a little shade structure, deck pavilion, but none of that is visible from the street. So it's all very private to the owners. Hold on a second, I'm gonna keep going there. So the overhang, I'll just talk about the sidewalks a little bit. This sidewalk here, there are 2 existing, the sidewalks exist currently. This one on the east side will be redoing so that we can straighten it up. And because we're currently going through a utility locate to bury the TICO wires there so that we are able to have this balcony overhang. We really wanted to kind of envelop that corner and really anchor the corner with the overhang here. So it's a very small portion of overhang, but to us, it felt like it really was a part of Ybor Corner and kind of holding onto that. So we've started the application with TICO, we've started the utility locate there, as well as the application to start looking at burying the utility lines there. We'd have to relocate the pole anyway on the northeast corner because it's currently in the alley. So that would have to be adjusted regardless when we go to bury it. We've also proposed new street trees because there are not currently trees there. A cluster of trees at the northeast corner to somewhat buffer the building corner here, as well as new trees in each of the yards, and then new landscaping surrounding the relocated structure. I'll just kind of talk about the building setbacks here too. So the face of building is along the hard line. Each of these 3 units has a front porch with a covered occupiable balcony within a roof above, an overhang roof above that. So it's a brick facade, and I'll show you the elevations too, but a brick facade, but a lot of depth with the balconies and roofs. And then this unit 4, which wraps the corner, we really wanted to make both sides of the project we really didn't want it to be differential to either street. So it really was important to carry around the second floor balcony so that you really turn the corner. And it's a soft corner, it's an occupiable corner, and it's engaging with the street. And then at unit 5, as you had asked about the knee wall, so the knee wall will be put back in place here and then it'll be a little, it'll pause here to be able to enter into the site and then pick back up and that would be the level that you would step up to get into that unit. So it would just feel kind of like across those 2 as they are somewhat blended together. So fencing around the property, we have the required 6-foot wood fence along the west property line. We have a little fence here, which would be a metal fence to pick up on the railings and detailing of the new project. And then other than that, it's just site walls, which are the part of the demising wall of the private yards to the amenity space in the parking area. One thing I'm going to address too is mechanical locations. Originally, maybe there was our condensers down on this level, but we've tried to get them up on the roof so that this really feels like it's, it just allows more space. The roof is occupiable too, I'll get into that, but as far as on this level, there's no mechanical here. I think that kind of covers the, yeah, site. So as I always do with my projects, I look back to Ybor historic photos just to really kind of be inspired by them. And this image, as well as the following image, just really kind of caught my attention in how they turn the corner, how they address a balcony and a Ybor, you know, cutting the corner off so that it really feels like welcoming and not harsh and not right at the street edge. So at that corner, we have pulled the building back from the sidewalk line so that the sidewalk really feels like it expands when you get to the corner. And we know a lot of people will be coming through here on foot with their dogs to get to the dog park. There's going to be a lot more movement on the sidewalk here, so really expanding that will make it feel a lot nicer. And the sidewalk on the south side is right up to the street. There's no landscape buffer, so it also makes it a little bit more generous. And in addition to looking at historical, we are guided by the Ybor design guidelines too, and so you'll see in our elevations how we're inspired by the arches for the entry doors and some of the more smaller arches over some of the window articulation, so I can get into that, but really unique character for this neighborhood that we want to keep so that it really feels like it's an Ybor, but also make it feel a little bit more crisp and a little bit more of today. So I'll run through the elevations. This is the east side, even though I've rotated it, but this is the side that faces the dog park. So each of these, the kind of pattern, they're all a approximately 21-foot module across this elevation. And so you see we do step up a similar 18 inches. We're a little bit higher. The site slopes down as you go south and over to the townhouses, so or the duplex. We're roughly each of the entrances, we've tried to keep no more than 3 steps off the sidewalk. And so each of these has the porch, as I showed you before in the site plan, and then the entrance doors are an arched door, which I'll show you an image of, and that's the only place we have an arch, a true arched door is at each of the entrances so that they feel different and special. And then here are the 3 balconies, which are accessed from the master bedroom, so it's not for the other users really, it's just a master bedroom balcony. So that's accessed off of that bedroom, and then there's an overhang above those, and then everything in the face of the building is brick, and so everything pulled off is the balconies are metal black detailing. We're looking at 2/1 windows, and any doors that are not the entrance doors that are on other levels would be squared off at the top, so that they're not competing with the main entry doors. So then as we go to wrap the corner, this is the line of the corner unit, and the program on the ground floor of the corner unit is a study, like a library, and so we really felt like that was an appropriate program to put at the more public-facing, in a more public-facing zone. So those windows change also, as well as the windows up above that, and the windows at the corner unit on the second floor are the ones with just the little arch, and the roof overhang over that corner is also a little bit different from the overhang. It's in the same plane elevation-wise, but it is a little bit different structurally, how it attaches to the building, and because it's just a little bit different in how it relates to the balcony below. There are columns on the corner balcony system, and then we do not have columns on the upper story of unit 1, 2, and 3 on the right. There are columns on the first floor, but not from the balcony to the roof on the second floor. No, none up here, but we do have them down here. Sorry. Oh, I guess, sorry, I should mention too. So a big part of this project is it's 3 stories, but as you've seen in other projects I've done, like the townhouses down the street, keeping that mass lower at the street face. So the grayed out part on the top of this is a penthouse level. It has a bathroom, full bathroom, and a bedroom, and it's the stair that comes up with access to this roof deck. And this is pushed 20 feet back from the street, so you won't see it from this, in this elevation. You don't see it. It's also pushed off the south, so off of 4th Avenue also. So you really, you don't experience that 3rd story height as similar to the townhouses. Go ahead to the next one. Down the street, which I put in here just to show how we pushed it back, and it will be more similar to this, and then it'll be 2 stories and then a structure that's pushed back. And then this is a similar instance of a brick kind of plinth and pushed back, and this is actually the material we're proposing, metal, as you had mentioned in the project this morning. This is where we're going with that. So we want the brick base, the kind of heavier base, with the metal wrapping all sides, and brick is wrapping all sides of the building also, no stucco. So you see here the elevation down 4th Avenue. So this is a recently approved BLC project, single-family house with a, you know, it's 2 lots, so it is a pretty wide opening part of this project here. This is existing, this is the relocated duplex, and then ours picks up here. So what we've done, this was a little bit earlier on, but we've stepped down the structure. The overall structure we've stepped down closer to the relocated duplex, and then I've also omitted a 2nd floor balcony on the 5th unit right here so that you don't feel like you have this towering two-story overhang and balcony. So this is just a roof line on this elevation down here that's not occupiable to kind of keep that scale lower next to the existing duplex. And then across the street you see the dog park, the structure at the dog park, as well as the townhouses. So that kind of height line carried across were a few feet under the 45-foot maximum, so we're not trying to push the height limit. So this is the south elevation. I probably should have talked to this at this larger scale, but this shows the duplex, and if it shows it differently, that's not the intent. It should match. We'll have the columns as existing, but this is the duplex, and then you kind of see the height difference. So yes, it jumps up higher, but also we feel like we're trying to be respectful of that and go on and step down and not do the 2nd floor balcony here, as I was mentioning. Here you see what I was talking about, picking up the wraparound balcony on the 2nd floor, and then the windows on the 2nd floor up here have the kind of arch. So it really, that corner piece does feel different and special from the other units. And then you see here too, across where we're coming across for stepping up in the plan here, the steps are coming up from the west, and then you move into the unit this way. So there aren't steps that come straight forward. So that height kind of carries across there. And then this is looking at the overhang at the corner, where a lot of, I mean, typically you would think of those overhangs over sidewalks being prominently on 7th Avenue, which is the case, but it also is a part of the neighborhood that it happens off of 7th Avenue also. So I'm showing some areas where this is where we have the columns and balcony and roof that come over the sidewalk that aren't necessarily on 7th Avenue. So it's not just a kind of brick building 7th Avenue typology. On the west side, so this is a privately facing elevation. This is not on a street. Each of the units on the ground floor opens up generously with wide sliders to their private deck, so it's really letting in a lot of natural light, and this is cut through that elevation, the amenity space in the back. So then this third floor is where the metal would express itself, with the brick being below that. And then on the unit 5 piece here, which is closer to the relocated duplex, it's also, also brick. So this is the townhouse, but just looking at how also here, even though we didn't change material, its actual material, we changed in scale on the third floor, so doing something similar in how it expresses itself differently, so it just doesn't feel too massive and too heavy. And then this is the north elevation, and really between the red lines is what you will read from, I mean, that is really the north elevation because the other pushes back so much, but you don't even really see that mostly in passing as you're driving south on Angel Oliva. So materiality, we want it to feel soft and organic and natural, and overall the building being brick, we want it to not be a monotone brick. We want it to have color and texture and not too contrasting, but we want it to feel like it has some life to it. And then black accents and hardware and doors and windows. The windows would be aluminum wood-clad windows. But sorry, back to the site. So we're looking at kind of a travertine or a limestone or some sort of natural stone for the front porch entrances, as well as in the back on the pavers here. And then we'd like to introduce some gravel in some sorts that would not be next to the street and it would not be public facing, and some type of permeable paver at the parking. The roof decks, let me actually just bring up the roof plan just so you can see the intent there. You can see. So the roof plan is, the units are 40 feet deep, and so what we've done is basically cut back half of that, which is why it's pushed back 20 feet from the face of the building. So you have a generous roof deck, which really looks out onto the dog park, as well as this corner here is all accessible, so that looks out onto the street and engages it. Unit 5, because of us trying to keep the scale down, we actually did not occupy that roof. So it's 1, 2, 3, and 4 that have the roof. And then this roof on the left is a shed roof that pitches to the west, so to the amenity part of the courtyard or the project, and then we'll have downspout. We'll have a gutter and downspouts on that side. And then the other roof that's accessible would be TPO with a E-Pay paver pedestal system. So that's just to kind of show you what we're thinking there. And then here shows a little bit more of the detailing, just keeping it really sophisticated feeling and minimal black accents, kind of a corrugated vertical metal system that reads nicely with the vertical rail system around the balconies at the corner where we're turning on the first floor, not the trim detail up above, but looking at a rhythm of storefront-esque that kind of feels different, but in keeping with the 2/1 windows. Here are the arch door, entry doors I was mentioning, and limestone pavers on the front porches. Lighting, this gives you kind of a hint. They haven't been exactly selected, but very Ybor keeping, not trying to do something too far out. So then this all comes together, and I'll show you what the elevations start to look like. So this is the east elevation facing the park. So we've got the units 1, 2, 3, and 4 with the pushback metal system up on the 3rd floor. And the wraparound porch here with the different window system at the corner. And then this also, I didn't mention it in the plan, but this, even though it's set back from the line of the sidewalk, it's also, these to the right set back even farther from this unit. So there's a lot of depth in the facade where it doesn't just feel really flat as you're walking by. And then on the, south side, this is the south elevation where you see the continuing wraparound porch. And then this being unit 5 where it steps down and has the knee wall that picks up on the two, where the 2 units entrances are, but then it steps back down to either side. I think that concludes my part of the presentation.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Ron Vila, staff with Historic Preservation. Staff's finding that this application is consistent with the Ybor City Design Guidelines. We have some conditions associated with them. I'm gonna go briefly through those. That they provide a master plan build-out, which was presented this morning and this afternoon. Provide the historic reference for the massing and the scale. And the encroachment that is part of the request needs to go through the City of Tampa encroachment process. So I believe she has started that, along with some other challenges that she has moving forward, is to engage with TECO in moving the poles and or relocating the power, getting with right-of-way for the treatment of the alley, the surface of the alley. That includes some engineering there as far as drainage goes. And then the surface of the alley wasn't discussed, if you want to touch upon that briefly. The final solution for mechanicals was indicated it would be on the roof. Ms. Cook did address some fencing. There was 2 different fencing. There was one that was wood and one that was metal. We did not see any indication of the fencing this afternoon. And she did provide a pallet for all the hardscape. We did have a concern about the railings, but the railings were addressed and they were incorporated to the parapet level too, that the pilasters continued to be prevalent in the architecture, and then the railing came across horizontally, which is more period appropriate. So that concludes staff's portion of the presentation. I'll be here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Vila. Anyone here from the public wishing to comment on the case? Seeing none, we'll begin with some questions of the applicant, starting with Ms. Welch on my left.
One of the questions that I had was parking. You have 1 spot behind the building for each unit, 1 spot per unit. What additional parking are they going to be allowed? Is there enough on the street to handle, like for units that have a couple or that kind of thing?
Per zoning, we're required 1 space per unit. So we're meeting that. As far as additional parking, there is public street parking in Ybor. There's residential permit street parking. So outside of what's required, we're not proposing any other parking besides what's required.
Is the space that you currently have for parking spots, is there enough to do tandem?
Potentially, it may start affecting other people's backup distances.
Okay. Okay. I just was curious.
I don't know
about
the
how that-
exact dimensions of tandem requirements, but
Yeah, and
maybe people will end up doing that, but.
I know, and I think that was more my question, because then you've got problems going into the alley.
Right,
So, okay, right now, that's all I've got.
okay, thank you.
Thank you for a very comprehensive presentation. I have a couple questions while we have the site plan up. Couple things. On the relocated duplex, I guess it's unit 6, is there a back door that would require a stoop? Because it doesn't appear that you really have accommodated that. It might infringe on some of the parking. That's just a comment.
I think we actually need to confirm that with the existing structure, and we may
Okay.
need to add one.
Because I know on the unit 7, you show in the
Right,
indentation.
and that is existing over there. We may
Right.
need to consider that on the east side of the back of that.
Okay. You mentioned that the air conditioning compression units are going to be on the rooftops. If you could locate those, but then also in regards to unit 6 and 7, they're not gonna be on the roof. So
Correct.
have you located them, where they're not gonna impinge on something? Or be visible from the street, which is
Right,
the more
so
important
there,
concern.
let me pull up
Yeah.
the site plan. So,
I
your
thought that was
first,
garbage.
your first point, we can, confirm that there is access in the
Okay.
duplex back
Okay.
here for the second unit. And then as far as the condensers, we will be able to get them, whether we gang the two of them together over here and fence them in or landscape around them.
Okay,
We have room on the east side, it's a matter, maybe the client wants to split it on either side, but, there's, the utility as far as trash, that's kind of.
so those are the
along
trash
that.
bins there, that was my other question.
Correct.
And they're shielded because they're on the alley on the backside, but you're proposing an open fence. So will they be shielded from the street?
Yes, that's the intent, and
Okay.
most likely with landscape in
Okay.
front of a metal picket fence.
Okay. And then if you could just indicate where the compressors are on the rooftop?
Sure.
Because I don't think they showed up on your,
And that may be, you wanna just pull up that plan? Right.
and again,
So
just,
this is the floor plan on the third
Okay.
floor.
so not
So
visible.
they're floating right now, but no one wants to look at that. So they'll have a screen around them per unit, but they will be kind of tucked up under the structure, kind of out of the way.
And then the last question I have is, it's not visible from the street, but looks like you're proposing some kind of arbor over 3 of the parking spots and part of the garden. Do you have anything to indicate what that's gonna be made of, or what it might look like, or that's a,
To be honest, we're still toying with what it looks
Okay.
like, but the idea is that it doesn't have a lot of, it doesn't have any solid walls.
okay, and no
So-
volumes per se?
No
probably
volume, it's a
flat.
flat roof,
Okay.
more for shade, and most likely trellis feeling, but it intends not to
Okay.
have landscape all through it, or, vines growing on it, but it's more of a shade structure that a owner could come out and have 3 people over for a glass of wine in the courtyard.
Okay, thank you. Those are the only questions I have.
Let's see. Could you show the floor plans internally? Well, I'm having a hard time understanding how the units go together
Sure.
and kind of the relationship of, what you're proposing internally versus what you're expressing on the exterior.
Sure, no problem. So the 3 units, 1, 2, and 3 are, 2 are the same, 1's mirrored, so essentially those are the same units, 1, 2, and 3, and then they kind of stop at this hard line here. 4 and 5, 4 wraps the corner, and then it has this kind of hallway per se to get to their back garden, which is not as generous, but it was how we were able to get that unit's access around to the back to access the parking. And then unit 5 picks up to the west of that picks up, with a larger garden also. And so, the unit 5, the living space is here at the corner, and then the kitchen kind of pops out, and the height of the window, we've coordinated and talked about it with Ron, kind of what's an appropriate height for that, so people aren't looking straight in, but you're still feeling engaged, and that's where it pops out to the street. Unit 4, as I mentioned, the owner was interested in having a space for a library, a personal library, and so that's what that room has become, where it's a little bit more generous, but it's also a program piece that feels appropriate to have on display to a degree.
And the second floors?
And then the second floor, so I mentioned the balconies at the east side are each accessed from the primary bedroom, so that's what is on the east side of the structure up here, hallway stair, and then another bedroom with an ensuite bath. So that's what's on the second floor for 1, 2, and 3. The unit 4, you come up to the living space on the corner and the kitchen, so it feels very open, like kind of a loft with a lot of the punch windows wrapping that corner. All these windows that wrap the dining, living, kitchen of unit 4 are the ones with the arch, so the exterior is relating to the interior program. And then the primary bedroom here for that unit. And then upstairs on unit 5, you come up the stairs and then you enter primary bedroom with bath and then secondary bedroom with bath. No stair to get to the roof because we didn't do that on that unit.
And then the roof?
So then the third floor, units 1, 2, and 3, you come up, there's a hallway to get out to the roof deck, but then there's also a bedroom with ensuite bath upstairs, AC up there, as we said. Unit 4, the penthouse for 4 does not have a bedroom. You come up and it's just a little kitchenette wet bar with a powder room, and then you exit out onto the accessible roof here. And then unit 5, no penthouse.
Okay, and then if you could show your elevations again, there seemed to be, in some elevations you were showing a stucco on that turnaround corner and versus a brick.
Oh, the intent is brick, but we were playing with stucco, and I think that's I think that is something that we need to work with Ron to nail down, but we like brick, but we were also exploring the stucco, so we don't really want it to feel too different.
Okay, so I wasn't crazy.
No.
You showed it a couple of okay.
I knew one of you would pick up on that,
Yeah.
actually.
Okay. Well, I guess the way that you've been presenting the project and the stucco here versus that, it seems like you're not quite resolved on how you want it to be. In contrast to some of the past projects that we've seen, like the massing on some of the paired buildings that you'd shown as an example, it's just as precise as it can be. And here
Right.
it looks like you haven't resolved some of these conditions, because when you look at, if you go to the next, the south elevation, you've got building 4, or unit 5 rather, it has a massing that's related to unit 4. And now I understand we might, you might come along and encounter a building that you end up taking over and making these choices. But when there on the south elevation, unit 4, or rather unit 5, which is the one furthest to the west, has multiple heights, and then it kind of bookends the unit 4 as it comes into it. The massing looks like that's part of the other part of the unit. So, and it looks like you've sketched it a couple times.
It's funny because coming into this, we said that and the corner, and so I completely agree. We have talked about looking at lowering that portion that comes out to the sidewalk so that it relates more to Unit 5, because it is part of Unit 5. I think it's also, for us visually, when you're coming east on 4th and you look up, what do you see? And I just want to make sure that we're not seeing an end wall, or I
Right.
am trying to be respectful of what you see as you're coming east on 4th, which is, I guess, why the instinct was to keep that high.
Is your intent here that you can occupy that building, that unit 4 could occupy the roof of
No,
unit 5? I mean, you're showing the guardrail continue along that roof.
correct. That's part of the,
There's,
exactly, right there,
there's stuff
yeah.
happening there.
Could you clarify where they might be proposing stucco, because I missed that?
It was down here on the library, right?
Oh, okay.
Well, I think, and why we started leaning towards brick is that we don't want it to feel too different, and I think the change of glazing and the rhythm that changes around there is probably enough
Yeah.
than to
Well,
make it
for
more-
our purposes here, you're presenting a facade that's all brick.
correct.
Okay. And then the third floor is a metal panel, right?
Yes,
Okay. The roof that you're showing here, the end condition of the roof that we see here, is that flush with the panel?
the in condition, sorry,
There's-
can you describe it?
There's no overhang to the south?
Of the metal panel?
Yeah, of
There's
the
a
roof.
roof overhang of the metal panel of 18 inches, but that whole
But
metal
that's on the
building is
east and
pushed
west.
20 feet back from the property line.
Right, right.
It's
So-
just not expressed in the drawings.
Is there a soffit that wraps around the whole roof?
Yes, it's probably hard to see.
Okay,
Um,
because
Yes, you
I-
read the line of the
roof the whole way
shed
around.
roof, the thickness of that soffit will read 18 inches, it's gonna be an overhang of 18 inches around that whole,
The whole way.
the
Yeah,
whole
because
metal box.
here it reads like it doesn't exist, and then you look at the north side and it looks like it exists.
Right, it would match
Yeah, and so
that overhang that you see here, it
the
would match that on
north
this
side seems a little bit more inappropriate because you actually have the roof of the doghouse sticking out over the brick. Right,
It's a
because-
different, it's definitely a different condition there and on the west
Yeah,
side.
because it's straight, that's almost flush with the north side as well as the west side, right?
And as we're, I mean, this conversation came up earlier, but as we're trying to do in CDs is get that differentiation, not push it back, because I don't think being the north and the west elevation and not being as public of elevations, it's as important to push it back there. But we do want, from a material change, to make a planar differentiation there.
Right. And then, let's see, so we talked about that, plain of brick. Talked about the overhang. Do you have this as a three-dimensional model?
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that?
Not like this, we use Revit for the drawing set, but this is a render, like this is
Right.
off of that.
Right. And I guess it seems like that using the three-dimensional model wasn't what was driving a lot of the decisions that you're making in the elevation, whereas in some of the past projects, it's very, it's a very clean, orderly presentation in terms of what the building's doing volumetrically. Here, I think that there's some volumetrics between the units and the way that all this stuff's coming together that I think you're still kind of working with a little bit.
I mean, I think this project is challenging in a different way from other, infill, mid-block projects, in that it has more components to it. We are trying to, the beauty of the townhouses is that you've got one public face. I mean, granted, you see it from other sides, but this is about turning it, and we don't want to do a flat facade, and we don't want it to be on the lot line. Like, the goal was to have this push and pull and get depth out of balconies that are related to the quality of Ebor's architecture. And so it may not be as like pure as others, but it was part of the goal for the push and pull, because it is taller, not at the street line, but roughly kind of there, that we didn't want it to feel too massive of a wall as you're approaching it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, those are my questions.
Thank you.
I think it's also kind of related to choosing the design inspiration as the grocery or the market on the corner and pulling that in, and it's a difficult design solution, and I think a very elegant one. I think where you're going with everything is really nice. This on the south elevation, I think the elevation that we had in our preliminary packet that we reviewed, this center, the second bay, Unit 5 was a little bit different. So this is, I'm a little concerned that there's a little bit maybe too much brick here, and it's right on your street edge too. So I know the windows are raised a little bit there because of the kitchen behind that, but somehow it seems like I need maybe a change right there and to break that up a little bit, but it's not that long of a massing. Just to make sure I understand correctly, so here on the south elevation, and when it wraps to the east side, you're gonna have the balcony, and then the overhangs are built into the balcony there, right? So it's a traditional balcony that you would see on 7th Avenue with the steel going all the way up.
Correct.
But when you get to the east elevation, you'd have the steel columns that support the balcony, but then it'd be an awning that's hung from the building facade.
Correct.
Okay. And look at your overhang here on that side. And I was just commenting on the east elevation all the way to the north side where you have that 18 inches overhang. You can see the metal overhanging the brick there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was part of your concern before, but that
And we can
doesn't really
minimize,
bother
I mean,
me
if,
too much.
Yeah, well, that also, if you look at the plan, that northeast corner there is a massive, like 2x2 column that comes up. So the projection is gonna, as you're coming down, it's gonna be even further off the plane because the plane's set back in about 18 inches as well.
so
But,
this
yeah.
is something we're working through in CDs of, the intent is not to have it be a big column feel. It's really about a brick detailing that we're still nailing down. And at first we thought we would put the downspouts in them, and that's not gonna work. So they're gonna come back to where it's really about just not having a butt joint at the corner. Like, we really just wanna do maybe 2 or 3 courses of a stacked brick or something at the corner, so that yes, you're reading it right, but the intent as we get into CDs is that is just a brick detail at the corners. It pops out a little bit more in between because we want that demarcation between the units where they feel more like columns, but at the corners, because we have that detail around a lot of the building, that will come in a little bit smaller.
Yeah, I think that edge there of the overhang looks better on that. You know, smaller to let the brick be the primary driver right there. Could you pan this to the left a little bit? So all your windows on okay, these windows are different. So these are 2/2s, but you're going 2/1s.
They will be consistent. We're leaning towards 2/1.
Okay, and on the eastern facade and the southern facade, you know, elevations, that you're gonna have the 2/1s there. I think I saw a different window type on the inside corners. There's like a operable, it's like a square, and those I assume are for the bathrooms.
On the north side,
Yeah, those small squares.
right.
And those are non-operable for restrooms,
If,
vertical circulation.
depending on the size we land on, which is, right now, a double hung is what we would do there, because we're doing double hungs other places.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that'd be nice. Keep them all consistent there. Okay, can we go back to either the east or the south elevation?
Here, use this.
So, okay, I think we're seeing 2 different things. In this rendering, you kind of have like a sunburst over the windows, right?
Those are lights.
Well, you're doing with your brick detailing, you're doing an arch
Oh,
brick
up
over
here?
it.
On the second.
Yeah,
Right, so on the second floor,
you can zoom in a little bit.
sure.
Technical drawings read easier.
Yeah, I mean, you have your soldier
Yeah,
course
but
there, and then
these-
you have the arch brick, so I like the way that you're varying, and I mean, there's a lot of depth and different things that you're doing with the brick here, which is excellent. One thing that I saw was the first floor entry door, which are curved. You continue the arch brick all the way down.
Yes.
Is that relation to the shape of the door being arched at the top? Yeah, I
And
think
to
it's-
give it a little bit more prominence as the entry door.
I like the entry door doing that. What kind of bothered me was bringing the brick all the way down to the ground plane. You know, I think
It's elegant.
it is elegant, not something that we normally see in Ybor, so it's kind of like if you wanted to be a little bit more traditional, it would just be like eyebrows on the top. But I think that goes along with the whole way that you're detailing all your brick in a different.
Speaks to the craftsmanship.
Yeah,
that's going on.
yeah, and I think it's very thoughtful.
That guardrail would continue, right? I mean,
To the yes.
and obscure that brick that we're seeing there.
Correct.
Okay.
And up on the pop-up, that's all metal siding with a standing seam metal roof or flat
Yes.
crimp going down sloped, okay. And the 45-degree corner, that is gonna be brick as well,
Mm-hmm. Carries up through the second floor also.
okay. Now, does that corner go at a 45 there too,
Of the deck,
on the second floor? That wraps the corner?
of the building,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, and we didn't really see a wall section. I think here with the windows, they're gonna be inset back into the brick.
Yeah,
a
we can
certain
pull that up.
depth, and I think,
Here, use the one that has already been submitted. So So this is at, this wall section is on the east side at Unit 4.
Okay, and that happens, you're using CMU and brick on all walls, so you'll be able to recess that in and have it inset, nothing's gonna be flush.
And then at the top, you see where we're stepping the brick too, so that it gives some
Right.
depth within the facade also.
What about at the pop-ups, the dog houses from our previous cases? So are those
We like to
windows
call
set
them
back in?
penthouses.
The what?
We like to call them penthouses.
Penthouses. Right, for this case, we're gonna call them penthouses.
You can charge more.
Yeah,
But, sorry, what was your question?
that the windows are gonna be inset, then you're gonna do that out of frame, so they'll be inset, set back a little bit, they're not gonna be
Yes.
flush to the exterior.
Correct, no, we want the depth in the facade for sure.
Okay. And can we look at your site plan real quick? I don't know if this may be a concern, maybe not. I just was thinking with all the other multifamily stuff we're seeing, they may require an ADA parking space for one of those.
Which
So-
we can easily do, these are, you mean for with,
You could do it, I mean, but one of those, the
Who
city
would
may require
require
one of
that?
those to be ADA,
who would require that?
the city permitting.
Okay,
I just wouldn't let it go too far, because it may affect your canopy. I mean, I think it's an easy thing to put on that last one on the right.
and these are all standard spaces too, we could go to compact for some of them, which we're trying to do standard, so
Affect your
we have
trellis.
some room if we need to adjust for that.
Your shade structure, I think, at some point in time, we'll probably need to, hopefully not be back with us, but with staff to approve whatever
Absolutely,
that is.
right.
Okay. But, yeah, I like the project a lot. I think it's a nice little, infill, for Unit 5, it's not gonna have roof access, but they'll have
Thank
to
you.
befriend everyone else. But Unit 4 doesn't have their garden either. Hopefully there's a little garden space in there, right?
Yes, for sure.
Okay.
It's more as design come up, I'm gonna ask it as a question so you can respond. If you could put up the corner elevation or either one, the corner condition. I really appreciate what you're trying to do here and the precedents that you brought in. The historic precedents are outstanding. I just think, and it was brought up before with the railing, I think your case for making the corner building a little bit different than the townhouses, and the corner condition would be strengthened if the brick parapet did continue more around. Right now, it just appears at the Shamford corner, right? And then you go to the railing. I'm just wondering if you've considered, extending it. Ideally, it would extend like wherever there's a storefront condition to really let that read. I don't know if it impedes your view, but like on this elevation, for instance, yeah, if it went the 2 bays over and it was solid and not the railing, and on the other side in the turn, I think it's just 1 bay. I think that would read stronger and more in keeping with the mass that you're trying to create there on the corner.
Interesting, okay.
Yeah, minor comment on this one here on the south elevation where you've got the entry into Unit 5 and you extend you extend that covering to the western pier and then hold it off the eastern pier. That's a little bit imbalanced there compared to what you're showing on other ones. I think that the Unit 1 through 3, they're all both held off and just centered. And that one just looks like it's off to the left a little bit.
Oh, you mean between the brick detailing?
Yeah, you've got these brick piers that you're, setting up the expanse of the brick, and then you're holding it tight on the, on the west, and then holding it off on the east. That probably all comes out of the wash when you do the shop drawings and finish up the drawings.
Okay, noted, thank you.
So you didn't say anything about these windows being too close?
Sometimes buildings are quirky.
Okay, any other questions for the applicant? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and, you have a few minutes if you wanna summarize any comments of our questions that we had, or wrap up your presentation.
I think as we are getting into CDs post today, hopefully. I think looking at that bump out of Unit 4 with Ron and just making sure the scale of that and its relative to Unit 5 is something to look at, in the parapet, maybe just like that edge condition around the top is something we can look at, as well as the columns that are coming down and the depths of those at the corners. And I think that's kind of what will be.
Great. We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing, and we'll have discussion amongst ourselves. Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, I think that it'll be a successful project. We need to, as it moves forward, condition it to the house moving. We need to make sure that the arbor is something that can be taken up with staff. And I think give the applicant a little bit of leeway there to work with staff on the massing of the units, you know, especially here in the south facade. And that's something that I'm comfortable just conditioning and moving forward with.
Yeah, I think it's a terrifically interesting project, and I'm glad to see that Ybor can be developed economically at this kind of sensitive scale in an interesting manner that certainly enhances the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's a very thoughtful design. I love the brick articulation and the different textures and techniques there. They brought some good design examples here from the district, and I really like the way that this is going. I think there's a few minor things to work out with staff, that there always is, but I think the design is thoughtful, and any moves that you continue to make will be thoughtful. So I have no problem, having them work with staff on this. That being said, yeah, I think it's going to be a great addition to the area.
Okay. Well, I'll make a final approval with conditions motion. Move to grant certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing, BLC 22-207, for the property located at 1500 Angel Oliva Senior Street and 1716 East 4th Avenue in Ybor City, with the following conditions. One, the applicant will successfully recertify the house that's being moved in the prior application as a historic structure, working with staff to do so. Two, the applicant will have the opportunity to work with staff for the design and development of the arbor shade structure that's depicted on the interior of the site plan.